Hi, welcome to Nostalgic Overload Podcast, a podcast where we talk about anything 90s and 2000s. From toys to video games to movies to anything that we feel like talking about. I am your host, Weston, and my co-host is
Andrew.
So let's go ahead and get into our first topic. Alright, so our first topic is Christmas shopping catalogs. Who remembers Christmas catalogs from back in the day when you would get them in the mail and your mom would say you can circle any toys that you want for Christmas? And I remember circling toys, and then you would circle it extra hard and extra circles if you really wanted that toy from your mom, and you may not have always got that toy, but you tried to hopefully Santa or whoever would buy it for you.
Yeah.
It's nothing like it is now. Now it's just like on Amazon and everybody just clicks and adds the cart.
Everything's digital.
And the catalogs were super thick, and there was so much stuff in there, and obviously everyone wants to get past all the like clothes and all the like socks and boring stuff.
Straight to the toys.
Straight to the toys.
And I burned a crown out circling the hell out of stuff. You know,
and they wasted so much paper printing off these catalogs that you would throw away after you're done, which I actually am thinking about picking them up for my room. They honestly are a little expensive to buy, which is odd because they're just like catalogs from like the 90s.
Yeah.
But I remember the JCPenney's one, the Toys R Us. I think maybe Sears might have had one too.
Radio Shack.
Radio Shack.
Right.
That's a whole different.
That's
a whole conversation right there. I don't even think is Radio Shack even around.
No. What was it? Radio Shack, and there was the what was the other one?
Circuit City.
Circuit City, yeah.
Now that's a conversation. Also, is Best Buy and Circuit City, and we'll have to save that for another time because that's a great conversation piece.
Oh yeah.
Because I used to be an avid Best Buy guy. Now Circuit City was like trying to sell you and like kind of hassle you around, whereas Best Buy just kind of just let you go, which now Best Buy has changed, but we'll save that conversation for another day. The next topic is Christmas music. So whether you like Christmas music or you don't like Christmas music, everyone knows that it gets close to that time of year, which is what, like before Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
And they start playing Christmas music, and you have to hear those same songs over and over
until the end of December. It never ends.
And they bring everything out, and the excitement for kids and everyone growing up was hearing Christmas music. Now I remember opening Christmas presents. My grandma would always play Christmas music. So one of them that I remember is let's see, I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. Deck the Halls.
Jingle Bells was always huge.
Jingle Bells, White Christmas, Oh Holy Night. So there's so many classic songs, and you have to hear them until after Christmas and maybe even a little bit prior, because your kids or your friends at work or just whoever just gets excited, and it kind of hypes up the mood a little bit. Me as an adult with two kids, they kind of can burn them out real fast.
Very fast.
It's like listening to that song, what's that shark song?
Baby Shark.
Yeah, Baby Shark. Yeah.
You hate it, but then, 3 weeks later you're singing it to yourself and you're like, well, this is dumb. It's the same with Christmas music. I can't stand being in a store and hearing Christmas music, but then when I leave I have Christmas songs stuck in my head.
Yeah,
and it's just like
puts you in the spirit.
Yeah, it's infectious.
Yeah.
And it's just,
even though like right now I think the top one is Mariah Carey for like
All I Want for Christmas.
Yeah, that's like the top song right now.
All the time.
I don't listen to that song hardly.
No.
So Christmas music, awesome to hear, but we're ready for it to be done once it's done.
Yeah, we're tired of it.
Next one is decorating for Christmas. Now this one is really big because I didn't grow up in a house as a kid in the early 90s. I grew up in apartments, so our decorating was sort of on the deck, but mostly inside. I do remember looking at these pictures, I do remember garland on trees
Yeah.
which my wife does not let me do.
No.
It is ugly and tacky, but it was something out of the era that everyone had. And the blow mold Santas
Yeah.
right now are super popular, and I don't understand why people are paying so much money for them, but they are back in style, I guess you could say, and they're really cool. And I remember what's the little like what's that house thing called, like the little houses, and everybody's got them all like the little people, and
like little Christmas town sets.
Christmas town sets. So my grandpa had those.
Some of them move and light up, and
and then you can have like little figurines, and you paint them with like brown hair and blonde hair, and little differences. Like people are gonna look that close up to the little figurines, which me as a kid, I would look that close to anything. But and then under the Christmas tree, how it was also decorated, you have to have like a skirt, and then you have to have the lights.
Yeah.
Now, I
want
to ask you this
for your
about
tree if it's real.
So my wife had a real tree growing up, and it's really weird because they were allergic to Christmas trees that are real.
Wow.
and I didn't have one. So I don't understand it. I only had like a fake tree, so I don't know the hype. I think it's like the smell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they do. You have that natural pine smell, but the needles fall off and get everywhere. And if you have pets get into it. We always had fake trees.
Yeah.
We never really decorated outside. That's another big thing. A lot of people today versus the 90's, decorating outside has just become, everything's so technologically advanced. You got Christmas lights that move with, like are animated with the music.
Oh,
and it's like,
I've seen some pretty like insane stuff actually where we live, where it's like, dude, how much money do you spend on Christmas
and
lights?
don't get me wrong, it's cool, but at the same time, I'm like, if I'm driving around like Fantasy of Lights at Garvin, it's usually the same thing. They just keep it moved around every year, like they switch positions of lights and stuff. But if I'm driving around looking at Christmas lights, I just want to be like, oh, cool, they did this, or they did, they did their whole roof or their whole front yard, like in that picture down at the bottom right.
Yeah, I like use that because that's like the kind of like a basic like Christmas setup. Is you got like the
reindeer on top,
on top. You got the pole that's got the lights on it. Just a basic trim of lights. I'm not gonna lie, this year I don't have any lights outside, but
I have icicle lights going across my porch, and I'm like, that's it. I don't.
That's all you need.
But
but like you said, like nowadays you don't have lights. Like I do have some houses over here where I live. I don't know about where you live, but there is some over here that it's like, wow, man, there's a lot of lights.
Oh, like, my neighbor across the street.
Give you a seat, you're looking at
you
them.
could see her house from space. She's got so many lights.
Like
and it's cool, but
what's that movie? Christmas Vacation, where you can't see it from space.
Yeah, but the animated ones today, like they're cool. Like I mean, I think it's really it's different, but. If I'm walking, especially if I'm not driving and I'm walking around, I'm not going to stand outside and freeze my ass off to watch someone's animations. I'm just going to be like,
isn't it weird that like people put theirs on like a map now, and then people drive by and they're kind of like just like creeping, and you're always like, how would it feel to have someone just come to your house randomly and just be standing and parked in front of your house, and you're like, are they here to look at my lights, or are they dropping off a package?
Did I order a pizza?
Yeah, like who is this guy? Or maybe it's a pizza guy. Like,
and they're like, oh, I saw you on Google Maps, your Christmas lights, and I thought I'd come by and watch you through your window.
I think that's the thing too, and that's a conversation also, is the way things were was you just kind of knew where the house was, and you didn't have like internet. In the early 90's, I didn't have internet until I was in like maybe middle school. So to not have internet, it kind of took away from the like you said, like planning everything. You just kind of were just driving around, and that's why everything was more like chill. Like there wasn't so much hype about, are you texting me, or like all this extra stuff that you have nowadays. And it's just cool. I do remember that Christmas tree, the ceramic one.
Mm-hmm.
My grandma used to have that, and I think, let's see, and the stockings and the like red candle lights. It's just like a basic. It's like what you said, just something just basic. It's nothing over the top.
General.
But your grandma's house, or your grandpa's house always had like the extra.
Yeah.
Like you knew that you were at grandma's house because she has like so many decorations.
Smell like cookies.
My wife's mom had on top of her curio cabinet was a collection of Santas, and it was like all these different Santas, and I always just sit there and look at him because there was one Santa, he was real skinny, which I always thought was kind of weird because I'm like, Santa's not really.
Yeah, because you think.
Yeah, you don't think of Santa as like
a
skinny tall guy, but it was like all these different ones. They're all different types, different eras. Yeah, like there wasn't like every type, but there was most of them. So
good selection.
I do think Christmas decorations are important around your household, and if you just do something small, just keep it all real simple.
Yeah. Like
my parents didn't have a lot of extra to like spend on doing a whole bunch, but I think we did enough to like what you said, like just some outside lights and just have the Christmas tree is obviously like key. Like you got to have something, whether it's a Charlie Brown tree or it's like a tree. Like
something celebratory.
Yeah.
I think and
ornaments is actually another one. Ornaments are key, and I have too many ornaments, and I cannot put them all on my tree, and I always have to like let the kids pick, and they want to put all of them on there. I'm like, they will not all fit on this tree.
Yeah, like you almost need multiple trees.
Back in the day, our tree was huge, and we would have almost all of them on there, and I have no idea how we fit them all on there. But
did you ever do the popcorn?
No, I do remember that. But if I had that other tree, I would probably, as a kid, just try to eat it. Like
but then it just gets like after everyone puts their Christmas tree up at like the beginning of December. So
well, you don't want to talk about why she puts it up like the second Thanksgiving is done or before it's up,
and that's respectable.
And then it's going to be up only shortly after Christmas.
Yeah, like a day after Christmas is done.
Like the day we open gifts, it tear it down. No, I'm just kidding. No, not that early.
Take your gifts and start putting ornaments up.
Get
this thing out.
Putting ornaments up is also something that nowadays is not like it is as a kid. As a kid, you just got to enjoy just Christmas as a kid, from the tree to having your stocking, to all that stuff. Which I think that's all important, and it's important to pass it on to the other generation of kids. And like what you said, there's so much hyped about doing more and more, but just do what you feel is right and have an awesome holiday, you know.
And traditions, people get out of doing tradition stuff too. Like for my family Christmas, we don't do any like big Christmas dinner really. I mean, my mom might cook like a prime rib or something, and which is really cool. But like we do like sides, like appetizers, like ham rolls, cheese balls, barbecue weenies, meatballs, and like it's just. You spend so much time cooking these massive turkeys or hams and all this that it's just like now, okay, everyone's coming over at noon. Now it's like it's noon now and I'm just like tired. I've been up all day cooking. We're like, do sides. Like I want finger foods. I don't want to be stuffed, which I mean I can't really eat a whole lot now, but I don't want to be stuffed to the brim and then have to be like half asleep talking to people. I just want finger foods.
So that's a good jump into our next conversation, and that's going to be food, drinks, and sweets. And when I say drinks, that can be alcoholic or like non-alcoholic. But for
whatever
me,
you prefer.
Key to drinks is eggnog. And I don't know if everyone likes eggnog, but I like eggnog, and it's got to be a certain kind. You can't just buy just any eggnog. And I don't drink with alcohol because I don't drink alcohol. But the food and the sweets is key too. And it's a little like what you said. Like I remember my grandma having like the kind of like in the picture right there. It has like a green tabletop and the runner and the lights and everything's kind of like set in its own little dish. It's not like she threw it in like Tupperware on the table, you know. Like it was like took time and she had her own
placement, organization.
And you also had, that's another thing too, is you had those plates, like the paper ones, where you had the under part, where it was like the little, what's that? It's like brown, like you have it under the plate and you would throw the plate away and you would hang on to it. Yeah. Like just those
decorative.
To add extra stuff.
Yeah.
And like you said, like ours was pretty basic. You know, you had like your ham and, you know, green bean casserole, all the basic stuff. And then my favorite part was obviously the sweets.
Yeah.
And in this picture that we're looking at, it's got those white covered pretzels. And the thing that I remember about those, they were in a tin, and my grandma had all the sweets in a tin. But when you open the lid up, there was an alarm. So it goes beep, 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 beep.
Who's in it? Yeah.
And it was because my grandpa would go in there and get like it was like cookies, it was like those ones on top. I think those were like what, sugar cookies or something.
Yeah, the top right corner.
Then we had what was it, like the chocolate chip cookies, the Hershey Kisses ones, which my wife just made, and I ate all of them, by the way. But it's not even Christmas yet. But that was just that kind of stuff to remember, like you're having time with your family. It's not about like how much you do or how much you have. It's just enjoying what you have, and
everyone being together.
Yeah.
Is really,
and that was the thing back in the 90s too, is you didn't have like a phone. So when you were talking to people, it was just you talking. It'd be kind of weird, honestly, to do like a test and see if no one uses their phones on a holiday, or
Yeah, it's impossible.
Because you see everyone on their phone.
It oversaturates people's lives, and everyone's guilty of it.
Yeah,
I'm guilty of it. Being on my phone, but
like scrolling like Facebook, even though you're like, I just scrolled Facebook, I don't need to scroll it again. But like,
I saw that post 30 minutes ago, but I'm just gonna keep going
back
down.
in the day, you would
rabbit hole.
You would just do stuff. You would just talk and hang out. And I think that's something important for us all to remember, is to just put your phone down and just enjoy it.
Reconnect.
Like you're in the 90s, and just have a good time, eat food. And for what you were saying about eating too much food, so we would actually, once we got it eaten, we would go outside and walk around the block a couple times to burn some food off, because it's like that feeling where you're like bloated and you're just like, I don't feel like I'm fat, but I feel like I can't bend over right now because my stomach is so enlarged. Yeah,
you're just like dragged out. You're like, oh man, like it's almost like, hey, can we just take a nap? Like
that's another thing too about eating on the holidays, is you always take a nap.
Yeah.
Like you don't try to, but then you're like laying down and you're like, I'm kind of tired. I don't know if I'm fully tired, but I'm definitely gonna fall asleep in a second.
Yeah, you can always make a game of it. Like, is Uncle Lou gonna fall asleep first?
It was always my grandpa, because he snored like the loudest. I'm serious. One time we were on vacation and he snored so loud we could hear him in the other room, on the other side of the house we were in. Like it was, he would fall asleep, and it was always funny. It's always that person that, and I'm guilty of the same thing, where you're like, I'm not falling asleep.
Yeah,
and then you're like, I'm falling asleep.
Next thing you know, you're waking up and you're like, oh man, it was me. I did it too.
But yeah, Christmas time at grandma's house or your mom and dad's is always an awesome time, and the food's important. And right before Christmas.
Ooh.
So this one, I don't have a lot of information because it's pretty basic, but do you remember as a kid the anticipation of just like waiting to wake up? You're like, I cannot wait to wake up.
Don't even want to sleep.
I'm trying to go to sleep, but I'm so excited because I can't wait to see what gifts. And then the like day after, you would hop out of bed and you were just so excited, and you saw all the presents under the tree, and there's so much anticipation that like like you said, like it's just hard to go to bed because you're so excited. Like, and I remember that, and my kids have that now, and it's awesome to see. As an adult, you're more like, I can just buy my own gifts. Like it's not as exciting. Like,
I always hear that I'm the hardest person to buy gifts for, because as an adult, I'm like, I don't have kids, so
you don't want anything. You just
I'm like, if I want something, I get it myself, and then everyone's like, well, what do you want? And I'm like, world peace. I don't know. I buy what I want.
I say the same thing that my dad says, is I have everything I want because I have my family, and that's all I need. And then my sister's always like, that's what dad says, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm getting older because I'm like my dad. But
you start to see things from that viewpoint. It starts to make sense.
But as a kid, you don't have any bills, and you're just like,
responsibility.
I just want toys, and I just want to wake up and open them. And just play with every toy. And I don't know about you, but I used to wake my parents up like super early.
Oh yeah.
And I feel so bad for my parents, because now I'm a parent and I'm like, my kids are waking me up, and I'm like, I get what they are talking about waking up. How did they wake up so early? Like my dad, to this day, for no reason, he'll wake up early if I ever need to have him. He just has he's like a different type of person than anyone I know. And well, waking up early as an adult isn't as fun, but as a kid in the early 90s, it was so exciting. You could not wait until you would wake up and you would see all the gifts you had and how full your stocking was, and then you'd always have that, did you get everything you wanted, and you didn't care because you were going to go to your aunt's house or grandma's house,
grandpa's,
and everyone had that too as the kids. You'd go to like 5 different houses.
Oh yeah,
and you would eat so much from every house, and
never eat breakfast. Like that's a big thing, you know. It's like kind of like Thanksgiving. I don't know if it's true for everyone down here or here in Indiana or wherever, but everyone spends time cooking, and it's like when you get to where you're going to eat Thanksgiving, everyone's like hangry and hungry. So
then when you get done with your last stop, everyone's
everyone's like, God, I'm so oversaturated with seeing people and food. But night before Christmas, really, that's all there is, man. Is the anticipation of waking up and like hoping, trying to be fulfilled with what you wished for and like what you did. And for parents, I can imagine parents, when you wake parents up super early, they're like, we were just up all night doing all this wrapping, placement, Santa, the magical Santa stuff, and all I want to do is sleep in. But as a kid, you're like hardwired. Like you could wake up late for school and you go to school 5 days a week, but Christmas morning, it's like, dude, the chickens aren't even up yet, and you're already like in your bed freaking out. Like the first sound of movement in the house, whether it's a cat or dog or whatever,
or wind or rain.
I'm getting up and running through this place screaming because it's everyone needs to be up now.
Now, do you feel like on Christmas that nowadays you don't see as much like snow outside, whereas back in the day you would see snow? So like I remember in the early 90s around here where we live,
a lot of snow,
a whole lot more snow than there is now.
Oh, that could be global
now it's
warming.
Like now it's like the other year or like 2 years ago I think it was, there was a guy across the street out in shorts and like a shirt. It was like Christmas morning.
It was like 65 degrees. It was like, hell, this is perfect. Like, okay. Christmas,
if you're in like Florida, like,
well, even here it was like, I remember sitting outside at my aunt's house and I was like, it's 65 degrees outside. I'm like,
but you're the kind of guy that wears shorts though.
Year round.
It would be like 20 degrees outside, and that's how my son is. Here today, he didn't even, and it's like
30
winter
degrees outside.
He went to school in shorts and a shirt and no jacket. Like I'm like, that's not me. Like I gotta at least have a small jacket.
Bundle up. I'm getting there. I'm a lot colder now. All this weight loss, I'm like freezing when it gets below 65 degrees. I'm like, it's kind of chilly, but I manage it.
The gifts. Now, the first gift is the Tamagotchi. Does anyone remember the Tamagotchi? Did you have one?
I never had one.
So I have one literally right back here, and it's my original one. And I remember my dad taking it to work to take care of it so that it wouldn't die.
You wouldn't kill it?
It was on his keychain. I was like, my dad is dedicated. I'm sure, I don't know if he took care of it or if he just started a new account and then we just thought it was alive. You know, it's kind of like when you're a kid, you live underneath this idea that like, everything is always the same when your parents actually went out and did something extra.
Yeah.
But a few interesting facts about the Tamagotchi is came from a female office worker at Bandai. Tamagotchis weren't popular with teachers. Some who grew up with Tamagotchis remember sneaking the toys into schools in their book bags. The toys were eventually banned in some schools because they were too distracting and in some cases upsetting for students. In a 1997 Baltimore Sun article titled "The Tamagotchi Generation," Andrew Ratner wrote that the principal at his son's elementary school sent out a memo forbidding the toys because some pupils got so despondent after this Tamagotchi died that they need counseling, even care from the school, which is insane. I was never that like
No, to be that obsessed with it.
That is insane. It is cool to hear about the history. So the next gift up is Furbies, which I have also back here in my background because I hang on to everything. This was originally released in October 2nd, 1998. Furbies originally retailed for about $35, and upon their release, they sold very well, catapulting demand during the 1998 Christmas period, drove the resale price over $100, and sometimes as high as several $100. Furbies were sold for over $300 in newspaper and auctions. Nicknames were given to the different aesthetic varieties, and sellers assigned rarity values. So I remember Furbies very clearly because I remember when they first came out, they sold out everywhere.
Yeah.
Like people were like, it was like when you see those old videos where people are like out the store like punching people in the face and like this fighting over every now and
over a Furby.
And you're like, you look back and you're like, I probably shouldn't have done that when I was younger.
Yeah, I can't believe I fought a guy for a Furby that wakes me up in the middle of the night talking to me. It's like terrifying.
It was the coolest thing though, is you would have friends who had one and they would talk to each other, and it would be like dumb little things. I think, isn't Furbies the one that got some kind of like lawsuit? I might be wrong, but from Gremlins, because they resemble them in some way, and there was something about that. And I know that Furbies has come back now. Like they're still making toys. I don't think they're the same because their eyes are more digital. And there was something. The designers were concerned it would be too girly, and that the toy might only appeal to young girls, which I thought, I mean, I'm a boy, so if they did appeal to girls, I had one. Yeah. The Furby was primarily targeted at young girls. The designer at Tiger Electronics, who invented the toy, wanted it to appeal to boys as well. So they gave Furbies the ability to burp and fart, which I remember that.
That's all you needed. Like,
burp and a fart.
How can we sell this to boys?
And they're like,
burp and fart, and boys are like, oh yeah, I'm in, baby.
Now this one was cool. Is there was a concerted effort to hack them. So in 1999, a guy hacked a Furby, which offered $250 for the first person who would make a Furby to reprogram it. The engineers at Tiger Electronics had intentionally made this difficult by encasing relevant components in an epoxy shell so that people couldn't hack them, but which was relatively easy to hack, so it would say curse words, which my son would buy it right now. If it said curse words, he would, like, my kids always want me to turn mine on, and I'm always like, I don't want to have it downstairs just like randomly jabbering and like
saying butthole.
Yeah. I definitely never hacked mine.
Yeah.
But I think Furbies are an important thing in the early 90s to talk about. So the next one is going to be Beanie Babies.
Wow, and that was a craze.
So Beanie Babies, everyone thought that it was going to be this thing that you would collect and resell, and here we are, 2024, and how much do they sell for? Hardly anything now. There's not many there are some.
Yeah, there's some rare ones out there, but
I don't think they're hyped up. I did have a lot of Beanie Babies too, because it's just one of those things you have as a kid. You're like, I don't need all these, but
yeah, but why not?
Yeah, like I have them. Like it's cool at the time, but I mean I don't have hardly any now. But it is cool to like see them still make them. So my daughter has what's that, TY branded like stuffed animals that she plays with. So it is cool to see the brand continue on. There was originally only 9 Beanie Babies introduced into the World Toy Fair in New York City in 1993. So it is cool to see that they've expanded
hundreds
way past that. So the next toy is going to be Pogs. So Pogs is something that has been around for even longer than in the early 90s, but in 90s they revamped the brand and it became popular again. And the Pogs were actually at one point banned, just like the other toy we talked about, because kids were gambling and distracted, which is funny. Can you imagine like hustling, like
Pogs, little cardboard
like I'm
caps.
picturing those kids that like roll dice and they're like gambling like acorns or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like what do you
Candy
have as
cigarettes.
like a candy cigarettes?
Yeah, like
those were funny because everyone thought they were smoking. They'd
Yeah.
always be like, I'm smoking, but it's just a candy cigarette.
yeah, no, buddy, we're just eating sugar
Yeah,
and,
we're just like,
looking
we're
really
smoking.
badass. Yeah, so we thought because
They're not
we were
like-
kids.
Rolled up in your, you know, like in the early, what was it, like the early 40s where they were like rolling
rolled
up
a
their,
cigarette pack up in their sleeve.
yeah, which I thought looked ridiculous. But
No, we just had sticky ears. We put them behind our ears, and
So-
the sugar would get all.
there's a
melted.
YouTuber that just had an event, and he had a Pog tournament here recently, which is crazy to think that Pogs is still around.
Yeah.
But Pogs is still here, and it's still going on. It originally originated in Hawaii, and they were originally classic milk bottle caps. Pog tops were round, flat, and made out of cardboard. So you had like the regular Pogs that were like cardboard, and then you had the slammers. I actually still have mine, and the one slammer is like harder plastic.
Yeah.
But this other slammer that's like a 20-pound weight almost.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, can you imagine throwing that thing on the?
Just
You could break someone's eye out.
throw it on a glass table and it shatters.
Yeah, the glass tables.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't need glass tables.
Yeah. No.
Those things break. But Pogs are something to talk about. It's a small toy, and they still make them. It's gonna be the toy called Bop It. So
what a craze! This
Bop It
was.
is. It's like one of those like small toys. Like back then, toys didn't cost a ton, but it was like an electronic. This is before you had like phones, so this was like a way to entertain. And you would do all these, like it would say, twist
Pop
it,
twist it, pull it,
and you would
yeah.
do all different things, and you had to do it in like a time frame. And the fact
Yeah.
that we were that coordinated to
Yeah.
be like doing
For-
things with both hands.
But it went with music too, so you had to like go along with the beat.
Yeah, and they had like the little,
Yeah.
you know, little beat to
Bop
the
it, twist it,
Yeah.
pull it, throw it at your friend.
And I have the OG one up here, but the voice of Bop It has been the voice since 2008, and his name is Buddy Rubino. He has recorded the voice for Bop It XT, Bop It Smash, Bop It, what's that say?
Tetris.
Bop It New Moves. So it's pretty cool to think he's the same voice even now. And it's definitely a toy that was super popular in the early 90s. It's kind of like up there with Rubik's Cubes, you know, which
Yeah.
I can never, by the way, on the side note, can't solve. Like,
Yeah. They say it's just like 4 movements, like you turn,
it's
move,
like I can
turn,
twist
move.
and pull, but not
Yeah.
getting all the, like, I'm like, this is not my thing.
Everyone's trying to get the Rubik's Cube together, and I just would get pissed and throw
Take
it.
the stickers off.
Yeah,
put 'em
or I
on the
just
other
throw
side.
it and break it into a bunch of pieces, and I'm like, this thing sucks.
But the Bop It was really cool, and I have to say, it's cool to see. I think it's still around to
Yeah.
this day. I'm pretty sure.
And then but it's cool because it was a full size, and then like now you can get them as like keychains.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That'd be hard to
I think I saw one at Cracker Barrel.
have in
one
your
time.
pocket. And it's like going
Yeah.
off while you're doing something.
In the middle of a work meeting, and you hear "Bop it, twist it." And I'm like, I gotta take this, guys, and just play with it.
It's just
Yeah. This is an important phone call.
and like also something to mention is as you would play it, it would get to go faster and
Yeah.
faster, and that was the hard
Yeah.
part. Is you're just going quicker and quicker,
Yeah.
so your heart's just like pounding. Your little kid heart is just
Yeah,
going.
you don't want to look like a loser because you got that far and then failed.
But Bop It was definitely cool. So the next one's gonna be the Talk Boy. So the Talk Boy became popular because of Home Alone,
Mm-hmm.
as we all know.
Kevin McAllister.
I never had a Talk Boy, I know like Talk Boy went to like Talk Girl. There's like a pin I think that talks or something like that, and they're collectible nowadays. The Talk Boy originally launched in 1992 and discontinued in 1999. The toy was originally a prop in the film of Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, which then it was intended to be released as a toy. So it's really cool.
It was actually not intended to be released as a toy.
Oh yeah.
And then, but it blew up so much in that movie, like seeing the stuff that he did with that they made it possible.
You could record things like the filthy animal.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
Which is the classic.
Yeah,
line.
very classic.
But it's really cool to see that it went from movie to an actual toy. I never had one, so I don't really know a lot about them. I still don't have one. It'd be cool to have, though.
I couldn't imagine what my silly child self would record. For like, I'd have
probably
cassette.
Like farts or something.
Yeah. Yeah, poo poo pee pee.
You would be like whoopee cushions are no longer needed to have. Yeah, Talk Boy is definitely taking over.
Nope. Fill me up with beanie weenies and let me record 5 hours on a cassette tape of farts is what my child mind would do. That's kind of what my adult mind would do right now if I had one.
That's what my son's mind would do.
You know, imagine.
My mind now would be like nothing exciting. I don't really have that kind of stuff to like record.
Imagine if someone found one today, if I had one today and someone hit play, it'd just be farts. It'd be phenomenal. Worth the money.
The next one is the Super Nintendo. So it was originally released October 23rd, 1991, and it sold for $199, equivalent to $445.16 in 2023. So I never had a Super Nintendo, but my friend had one. I had a Sega Genesis, and we lived in the same apartment, so he had that and I had the Sega, so I got the best of each world because I think they're both awesome. But the Super Nintendo was a big advance for, you know, going from the NES to the SNES is like a big jump.
Oh yeah.
And SNES is definitely one that I could play here nowadays. It's an awesome console. There's so much good games and good soundtracks. I mean, just an awesome one to have.
The quality holds up on them too.
And the NES received largely positive reviews and was a global success, becoming the best-selling console of the 16-bit era after launching relatively late and facing intense competition from Sega console in North America and Europe. Overlapping NES, which sold 61.9 million units. The SNES sold 49.1 million units worldwide, and it was also, this is something I didn't know, but in North America it discontinued 1999, but in Japan it discontinued in 2003, which is crazy to think it went that much farther. You're like, how many more consoles came out before you stopped making it? But it's a great console. I mean, I can't, like, there's nothing I could say. It's awesome to have. I don't have one right now, but I will pick one up one day.
I know a place that sells it. A couple places that sell it.
Some interesting facts about it too is Super Mario World is the system's best-selling game. There were only 3 games available at launch. The console is prone also to turning yellow, something with the plastic, and there is ways to like change it from like yellow into the, you know, classic look, because like the yellow always gives me the vibe of like someone that like smokes too much in the house and
like nicotine.
Yeah, like turns yellow. The last game to be officially published on the physical cartridge was Fire Emblem Theritica 776 on January 21st, 2000, which was the last game made published during the system's lifespan. Was Metal Slayer Glory Director's Cut on November 29th in 2000. So, an awesome console. And then the next one is another console, and it's the N64, which my cousin had. I remember this one, and I played GoldenEye. I think every kid back in the day played GoldenEye. That was like, it's like Mario Kart, Super Smash Brothers, and GoldenEye. Like, those are the top games. Also, Super Mario 64 is also popular. And the N64 was released September 29th, 1996. The N64 was discontinued April 30th, 2002, and sold 32.93 million systems worldwide. The best-selling game for the N64 was Super Mario 64, which sold 11 million units as of May 21st, 2003. So the N64 is weird because the controller is what...
It was just...
It's so weird. Like, how do you hold it? Like, you have to hold it... Do you hold it, like, from the middle to the side?
I hold it in the middle so I can still hit... Because, really, as just to make it better, the joystick and the directional buttons do the same thing. So if you hold it from the middle with your thumb on the joystick, then you can use your other hand. That's the way I always did it.
And it's also cool, I don't know if you know this, but the middle joystick is the same as the Wii nunchuck.
Yeah.
It looks exactly the same, which is so weird to think. Like, when I heard that, I was like, huh. That's interesting. It's like,
compare them.
Yeah,
like,
I think
oh my God,
this makes more sense. They're separate.
Nintendo
I can hold them separate. Like
Nintendo recycling stuff. Keeping it relevant.
The N64 controller was also the first controller to ever feature an analog stick. That's right, the 3D graphics and the analog stick, the N64 really did have it all. The final N64 cartridge ever made was Tony Hawk Pro Skater, was released in 2002. I think that's one of the ones. Is it the yellow card of that, or gray or something? But that's more rare.
I think the yellow one is more rare.
It's just kind of funny to think like people collect. It's like what's it? NES is like little Samson because it's like the end of the life. It sells for like 1,000+ for just a cartridge, which is insane.
Just wild.
But also, the name for the N64, there was a code name which was Project Reality. It was later named Nintendo Ultra 64 in honor of several toys made in the 1960s, such as the Ultra Hand, although the name was shortened to just Nintendo 64 as Konami held a trademark on the name Ultra Games, which Ultra Games kind of sounds kind of lame. I think N64, like, it's like sweet and it's sweet and short. Like, it's just, you don't say N64, like you don't say the whole thing, you just say
N64.
Yeah, and everybody knows what you're talking about. You don't have to like, or like that meme. What is it of Ice Cube rolling up in my 64? And someone's got a picture of like him sitting inside of an N64. Which was just hilarious.
Driving down the street in my 64.
So the next console is going to be the PlayStation. Now this one's one of my favorites because this is my first disc-based console, which was the PlayStation 1. It was released December 3rd, 1994. It originally sold for $299, equivalent to $600 in 2023. And I put the advertisement up there for us to see, but the old advertisement goes back to the earlier topic of the catalogs. Like, man, just like the colors and everything. And and people always say, well, games didn't cost this much back in the day. It's like, on there it's got Twisted Metal 2 for $47.99. Like, that's back in like the early...
That's in the 90s, man. That was a crazy amount. Crash Bandicoot.
Which, by the way, these discs for this console nowadays are so bad to like try to play. It's like the black disc that they had back then. It was not the... And just thinking of like the memory cards, like what's this one up here? I think it was like, what, an 8 gigabyte? Is that right?
Let's see. Not even.
No. Man, but just to think, like, imagine trying to save your games now. on
Well,
the
yeah,
memory card.
downloading a game now on any kind of new system is like, could be anywhere between 50 to 100 gigs, and you're like, you didn't have that in a PlayStation memory card.
No. And you always had to do the thing on the memory card where you're like, what game am I going to have to delete?
Yeah.
Because I don't have enough space.
Yeah.
Like, which one can I give up? Even though I know I'm never going to need it again.
Yes.
I like having the idea that I did this. I could take it to my friend's house and show him.
Yeah, you played a game. You played a game to completion, and then you're like, I need to delete it now.
And it is kind of weird. N64 kept the cartridge right when PlayStation came out, and they're like, no, we're going with disc.
Yeah.
Which on Nintendo's side probably should have went to the same, not a cartridge base, because I mean obviously PlayStation just took off and it's still going even now.
Pretty relevant, yeah.
And and the original controller also did not have an analog stick, so it's just real basic. The controller weighs like nothing. Like when you play it now, you're like, it'd be so easy to break this.
Yeah.
like small plastic. The best-selling game on the PlayStation 1 was Gran Turismo, which sold 10.85 million units. And the original controller, and we talked about that, the CD was one of the biggest advantages of the PlayStation 1 had over the competition, while the content on the cartridge loaded faster on the console. The CD gave game developers a whopping 650 megabytes of space. May not look like a lot today, but back in the day, a game cartridge had roughly 12 megabytes to 15 megabytes of space. Despite this, Metal Gear Solid was a 2-disc game.
Which is crazy.
Which Metal Gear Solid was a popular game. I used to play that at my friend's house all the time. And also, the CD part of it was the reason why the Final Fantasy franchise jumped ship from Nintendo to go over to Sony, which I'm not a Final Fantasy guy, so I'm not the guy to talk about with that.
Yeah,
but I do think the games look really cool. They're pretty awesome.
They hold a place in a lot of people's heart.
Yeah.
But that's interesting to know that they jumped ship from Sony or from Nintendo to Sony. Because,
which I think they were a 2-disc, weren't they? Or was it just one?
Some of them are 2-disc, I believe.
And also, the PlayStation was the first ever home console to surpass 100 million units sold globally. And I actually have my original box sitting right over here, and it has the original KB Toys tag on it, and it has it for like a sale price, and you just see it, and you're like, man, like nowadays I paid like $600 for my PlayStation 5.
That's
like
nuts.
It is nuts, but the space you have 1 terabyte compared to 650 megabytes of space on a disc to make a game. Like, I couldn't even, like, obviously games now, I do think the PlayStation 1 didn't age as good as the PlayStation 2.
No.
I think the games are hard to play, like not hard, but the graphics just don't hold up. I still play them because they're,
nostalgic.
I played them as a kid, yeah.
It takes you back.
And like you open up the case and you have your game and you have the old receipt because you always hung on to the receipt because once it scratched, because the PlayStation 1 disc always had that issue with like if it gets a scratch on it too bad because you overplay it, because we played it like a million times.
God.
Or you just leave it on, and you can actually save games, which is really cool too. So the next one's going to be the Crash Bandicoot became the PlayStation's mascot, while Sony had a decent portfolio of platforming games with cute characters, including Spyro the Dragon. It was Crash Bandicoot that became the defining platforming game, making the Bandicoot the official mascot of PlayStation. So Crash Bandicoot was my first game I ever played, and that game is still fun to play. It's nothing like crazy. It's kind of like Temple Run.
Yeah.
It's like the same idea.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to think like Crash is still kind of part of it, part of all the history of the game. And the final release licensed PlayStation game to release in North America was FIFA Football 2005, which the game was released in 2004. So I don't have that. I think I don't really play a lot of sports games.
I never really played sports games.
But it's cool to think like the last game was like a sport. It's kind of weird because in 64 was Tony Hawk and this one's
Football.
FIFA. Yeah. Foosball. All right, our next one for Christmas toys is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which, as everyone knows me, I'm a huge fan. I have tons of them back here. So the original line did start in 1988, but it continued on because they made turtles for everything. Sports, astronauts, cowboys. I mean, there's literally an endless line.
Every genre of Ninja Turtle.
And the TMT toys were the third best-selling toy figures at the time, selling around 1.1 billion in 4 years.
It's nuts.
And the success of the toys led to the production of the first animated series in 1987, which ran for almost a decade. Playmates produced around 400 TMNT figures along with playsets vehicles between 1988 and 1997. So as we know, nowadays turtles are still hot.
Yeah.
Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird definitely made the right choice by making toys because they are always going to sell. And the original toys, I mean, hold a special place in my heart because I played with them at my grandma's house, and they're just always going to be something I always hang on to. And it is really cool to see them still be made here today.
Yeah.
Like, to think that the turtles have come from 4 turtles and turned into a whole line of different characters.
Yeah. And multiple characters.
Movies still.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Like, as a kid, to get, if you got a turtle, would be just awesome. And your parents would be out there hunting for them because parents were in the hustle. Those as adults, because they were like, all right, where are you gonna go find some turtles? We gotta go find all of them.
Yeah, because I mean, again, like we said earlier, in the 90's, we didn't have cell phones, you didn't have Amazon, you didn't have shipping and stuff like that. If you did buy stuff, you had to buy it out of a catalog.
Yeah, then you ordered it, and you're like, I hope it comes.
That meant you had to, you had to ship your order to them, place your order to them, and then you had to wait weeks for that order to come in, and it was like, man, am I ever gonna get this? Is this a possibility? And now you're like, while I was taking a dump, I just ordered Domino's pizza and ordered stuff on Amazon, and now my foot's asleep.
If that's what my son's doing in the bathroom for so long, if he's ordering stuff.
Yeah, it could
be. For Christmas, he could be hustling.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm in the bathroom, I just scrolled TikTok, but obviously back in the day, that's one of the biggest things about it is just not having phones or internet.
Not having that.
Like you do now.
But we went through a huge technological boom growing up in the 90's.
Alright, so the next toy is another one that's special to me, and that's Power Rangers. So the ones on the right are the flip head action ones, and those are the ones that I actually have back here, my original set, and I think one was missing an arm, but overall, I remember my parents, so I have the Tommy that's like silverish looking, and my parents said that they went store to store to try to find because when the Power Rangers came out, everybody wanted to have the whole group, but Tommy was the OG of the group that everyone liked, and also rest in peace to Tommy in actual life. He passed away a while back, and I was able to meet him, which was awesome. Just to think, like as a kid, like I used to watch Power Rangers and like taking all the vehicles of each one and turning them into the Megazord. I never had the Megazord, I only had the figures, but the Megazords go for some cash now. Like if you hang on to them. So if you have the boxes,
you're doing good.
Look up the prices, you might be surprised. But yeah, like Power Rangers is just one that's really cool. These figures were popular because they allowed kids to see the human faces of the favorite Rangers, and the figure's head had a head that flipped around to show each face. So that's the flip head action.
Yeah.
And the first Power Rangers entry, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, debuted in 1993 and included a line of action figures and toys by Bandai. The show helped launch the Fox Kids programming block in the early 90s. And that's the other part too, is also the movie. The movie was so important, like the music, go, 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 Power Rangers. You know, like everyone, it's like those songs that are just like stuck in your brain. And the second you hear something, you're just like, I can just like say this whole part, you know, like it's just Power Rangers were a huge part. We always try to like act like we're in the show and we're like, hi, fighting each other. And like, now my kids do that. And I'm like, hey, you think I'll easy on you? Like,
I think a majority of young boys in the 90s had a crush on the Pink Ranger. You know, that was like everyone's, that and Topanga were like everyone's first loves. Yeah.
The Pink Ranger, I think the only Power Ranger that's not around anymore would be Tommy and the Yellow Ranger. I think the other ones are all around.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy to think like here we are like in 2024 and they're still around.
In our 30s and they're still doing stuff.
They're not out there like, you know, doing everything.
Yeah, but
but it's cool to like have. So our next one is going to be Transformers Beast Wars.
Yes.
And I can't do the G1s because those are in the 80s, but these are in the 90s. And I still have these. The Transmetal ones are the ones I had. Transformers Beast Wars included a spring-loaded action. Minifigures had spring-loaded action figures, and they had was the first major reboot of the Transformers franchise, launching in 1996 with a set of toys with a computer animated TV series. The animated series ran from 1996 to 1999, the first animated series in the franchise since the original Transformers show ended 9 years earlier. So Beast Wars, if you watch it nowadays, I don't think it like holds up as much with like the graphics, because you're like, man, but like we can take this, like there is like the new movies and it is really cool. I mean, to think like Optimus was like a gorilla, and then Megatron.
Cheetor was awesome.
So who was your favorite?
Cheetor. I'm torn between Cheetor and Optimus. But
Rat Trap.
Rat Trap was pretty sweet.
Rat Trap was pretty dope, and I don't know why it's like a rat.
Yeah.
like it's so funny to think like a Cheetor, and you have like a cheetah and like a dinosaur and you have a rat. But I think that sounds really cool. Probably the hardest thing about these toys though is transforming them. Because it took me a second. Well, I started to try to transform my old ones. I'm just like, God, these are a lot harder than they were back in the day. Like I was like, you had like instructions because you always keep like the artwork and like you'd have internet to look it up either. So now I can just look up on the internet. But like back then, you're like, I just gotta figure this out.
Yep.
And everything has to go perfectly together so that's where the Beast Wars is really tricky, because they're so hard to like transform because there's so many small things to move around. But it is cool. And well, one of my goals in this room is actually to have the original ones that I had in the original packages, because the artwork is what makes these, like you look at it and you're just like, man, it just like takes you back to like seeing it up on the shelf as a kid, and you just like see it and you're just like, man, like I want that. Like, and my parents would go out and like, so I have all the ones I used to have. The chrome on them is bad about chipping off,
flaking.
Who cares though? Like it's
more
those
for
are
you.
toys that I took to my aunt's house, that I would take to all my friends' houses, and you were like, it was like when you're a kid too, that was almost like your way of like, hey, I have this and you got this, and we'll just play. Like you weren't thinking about, don't move it too close, otherwise they'll fall apart and I can't hang on to it for 20 years.
Well,
even though I did hang on to it.
That's the cool fact there about the ball and socket joints. Allowed for a high degree of articulation and posability. So if you apply too much force, they detach instead of breaking. Some stuff's so cheaply made that it would break really easy, but like they made these toys to withstand kids that didn't know what the hell they were doing. And I
may have broken my Megatron a while back because I was trying to transform it, but the plastic
just broke.
I told my son it's never being transformed again. It's literally, I hate to do it because I like my kids to play with all my old toys, because I think that's something important as a collector, is to just allow people to enjoy it. Like that's
experience
what it's for.
I'm
not saying I'm going to open like a $300 G.I. Joe in the package or something off the wall. Like I'm not that guy. But you like have to, kind of
You gotta feed their curiosity
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
My mom's brother, Ben, my uncle Ben, he had so many toys, man. He had like
Uncle Ben.
my Uncle Ben. I'm not Spider-Man though. He's still
Yeah,
alive.
I didn't
My
even
Uncle Ben's
think-
still alive, thank
I
God.
didn't even think. Actually, in the new one, he is alive though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
But-
Aunt May actually
Died.
plays the new one. Yeah.
Yeah, but my Uncle Ben had like old action figures. He had a lot of the Beast Wars. Me and my brother would go down in the basement, and he'd be like, "If you change these from animal or car form, you better be able to change them back without breaking them." So that was like one. They weren't even our toys; they were his. So we had to take super care of his stuff, and that's what piqued my interest and really my overall love for Transformers and Beast War toys. It was.
So you're obviously an Autobot, right? You're not.
Yeah.
Anti Decepticon over here.
Yeah,
I would say I'm an Autobot, but Decepticon's got some pretty dope.
They do got some pretty badass characters.
Like, I mean, Megatron has a dinosaur to like one of them was like a spider.
Tank.
Yeah. Or he was a gun at one point.
Yeah.
In the OG of the toys, but
yeah,
Beast Wars is one that will always hold a special place, and Transformers is still alive and well.
yeah.
So the next one's gonna be one that pulls on my childhood hardcore, which is Hot Wheels. So Hot Wheels has been around for a lot longer than in the early 90s, but for me, my dad, this is where the collector in me kind of like came out, was my dad would always buy one to open and one to keep.
One to keep.
So on my hallway into this room, there's just Hot Wheels lined up on the right side, and those are all my original ones. I do like pick them up like here and there, and it is cool that Hot Wheels still is the same price. It's still $1, and that's as a kid. That's why you always bought Hot Wheels, because you were like,
They were cheap.
just $1. The only thing that cost a lot of money though was those tracks.
Yes.
And the like on this picture, how they got the crisscross crash. I always seen the ad for that, and I always wanted to have it, but I'm like, I don't have enough room.
Yeah.
And my mom ain't gonna buy me 15 tracks attached to this thing, because you had to buy that and then all the tracks, and also the one on the right, which is the pit stop, which was an important toy as a kid, because you can like fold it up, carry it around. I think Hot Wheels is something that's part of history of toys. I mean, it's been around forever.
Yeah,
and they still make them.
Adapted to the ability of kids being on the move. You know, kids. When we were kids, we stayed outside a lot. So if you could pack up a Hot Wheel playset
Play in
and
the
like,
dirt.
go outside, go down the street.
I did have cases. I do have one at my parents' house that it's a trailer. And you have a handle.
Yeah.
And you can actually carry it around.
Carry it
You have
around.
all the cars in it. So Hot Wheels is definitely something that's always going to be a part of me. So the connection to Barbies and Hot Wheels is Elliot Handler, the man behind Hot Wheels, is also the husband of Ruth Handler, the creator of Barbie. So Barbie and Hot Wheels is all in one. And some rare Hot Wheels can be worth a significant amount of money, with some selling for tens of thousands of dollars for Hot Wheels, which I have not paid that much for any Hot Wheels.
$1 toy is like thousands, but that's just that's the rarity of stuff.
There's heavy collectors out there, and the people, like I was telling you earlier, there's people that collect life-size made Hot Wheels, which is ones you physically can drive, which as a kid, I mean, can you imagine? You have a Hot Wheel car, like your parents or something like that. Awesome.
I'm gonna drive that one day.
I'm gonna drive it to work.
Yeah.
The most expensive Hot Wheel, that's the top one ever sold, is the 1969 pink rear-loading Beach Bomb, which sold for a whopping $175,000.
Nuts.
Not in a package.
Yeah, just loose.
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 I'm keeping that bad boy locked up and put up somewhere.
A safety deposit box.
It ain't sitting out very long. Like,
yeah.
Because that's insane. Like, it's crazy to think, like, for a Hot Wheel. And it looks like it's a red line, too.
Yeah.
Put on the wheels. But, man, I can imagine if someone lost that. That'd be... So, our next one is going to be the Dinos and Mongooses. And I specifically use these two bikes any bike as a kid, obviously, because as a kid, I remember seeing in movies how they would have the bike all wrapped up. Which, by the way, how would you wrap a bike like as a kid? Like, you imagine a wrap paper you'd use, put in a bag or something like that.
Yeah.
But
to cover a full bike.
Mongoose is one that's close to me because I had a hoopty. So when I outgrew my original Huffy Cyclone bike, which I'm still trying to pick up right now, I had a Mongoose hoopty, all chromed down, super cool. Somebody actually gave it to me. And the dyno bike, I remember the wheels, those like 3-spoke like plastic wheel.
Yeah.
Look that they had, like dynos were like up there with Mongoose as like cool bikes. Like as a kid, you're like, man, you see a kilo on that, and you're like, man, I want that bike.
Yeah.
And like I still think they're cool. So Mongoose was founded in 1974 by Skip Hess, who designed the first BMX specific wheel, the Auto Mag one. In 1974, Skip Hess came out with a cast magnesium wheel durable enough for BMX riding. The famed Auto Mag wheel, 50 years later, Mongoose is globally recognized brand built on innovation from BMX to mountain bikes. Mongoose delivers one of the realest riding experiences out there. Now, something I did learn while I was doing some research on Mongoose, 2024 is 50-year anniversary for Mongoose.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, hell yeah. Like, that is so cool to think, like, 50 years, like, we're 34 years old, and part of most of Mongoose's life has been with us, like, as kids. Like, that's just, and we never thought anything about the brand. Like, we just thought, man, that bike is just cool. Like, you have the artwork of the actual, like, Mongoose, and you had, like, the decals on the bike, and it was always about having the pegs on the wheels.
Pegs.
You ain't gonna be, like, doing any, like, grinding on rails, but you're just thinking, I can just give my friend a ride, or I can just cruise around looking cool.
Or you can put your feet on them while you're riding. It was a great product. It was fun. And again, it was one of those things that got you out of the house.
Now, this is a cool fact that I found in here. The brand has also sponsored a Who's Who's of BMX. Now, these names, I want you to listen to these names. Racers since the late 70s, including Jeff Cosmo, Eric Big Daddy Root, Tim Fuzzy Hall, and Craig Reynolds, and he might be related to Ryan Reynolds, we're not sure. And current factory rider Peyton Peanut
Rittenauer.
You got those
Rittenauer.
But those names, I mean, what a name. The one Big Daddy.
Big Daddy Root.
Big Daddy and Fuzzy.
Yeah.
But the brand itself has carried on. It is currently owned by Dorel Industries, which also owns Pacific Bicycle, Swin, and GT Bikes. So, and then for Dynos was started by Bob Orles in 1982, then became a division of GT. In 1985, Bob Orles says GT Bicycles made an offer to buy Dyno. I accepted their offer because Dyno was severely undercapitalized and in need of an investment. I negotiated a contract with GT to design bicycle frames and components and to consult on a marketing strategy for them. Well, it's cool to like see how like brands purchase each other, so we can
merge ideas.
Keep it all going. I don't really see GT or Dynos, but I don't really follow like all that stuff here anymore. But Dynos is definitely one up there that if your friend had, you thought he was just the coolest kid.
Yeah.
It's like that kid on the block where you're like, that kid's got a cool bike.
They made a statement with those GT wheels too. Those 3 spokes.
Yeah, like, those 3 spokes are, I mean, and that's in our opinion. You give us your opinion out there, and you tell us what your favorite brand is. But
if you didn't like the GT wheels, you're whack. They were awesome. As a kid, it was like the dopest thing.
And also the handlebars, how you could like turn it. I think on the
the gyros.
Mongoose Tubedy, it was called the gyro. Even though I wasn't doing the like wheelies and spinning around, but it was the idea that I could spin all the way around and
not break my brake lines. Yeah, it was revolutionary.
I didn't have a kickstand either on mine, so it just laid on the ground. But
I just ghost ride it into the yard and
ghost riding.
Yeah,
ghost riding was definitely a thing in the early '90s. Like I remember doing that. I'm really glad I didn't trash my bike, but we did some high hills.
Oh yeah.
But I want to give a shout out to our local game store, Evansville Toys and Games. Definitely a great store. The owners are awesome and their kids. It's a store that if you want to pick up anything retro, new, old, video games, cards, action figures, I mean, they literally have everything. And if they don't have it now, they might have it down the road. And they're super friendly, and I highly recommend that you check them out if you're in the Evansville area.
Absolutely.
We both have experience with them.
Yeah.
And I have bought most of the stuff from there, actually. Yeah. So a majority of the stuff you're seeing in the background is from there.
Yeah.
So
great
they're
an
awesome store for collecting, and we're not like paid to sponsor them. It's just out of our hearts because they're an awesome store and they're locally owned, and in a way they're like our Toys R Us.
Yeah,
because we don't have Toys R Us here anymore.
I get the same feeling walking into Evansville Toys and Games as I did as a kid.
Except for my wallet hurts a little more.
Yeah,
because I look at prices sometimes the older stuff and I'm like, oh man, it's a little more expensive than it was.
We're just big kids with money now.
Big kids with money, and sometimes I got too much money to spend.
Yeah, but Evansville Toys and Games, huge shout out to Daniel and his crew. They're very, very family friendly, great people. They've served the community for many years here in Evansville.
Yeah, they've been through a lot.
Yes, a lot of ups and downs, but they are building their business better every day. And again, not a sponsor, but people that enjoy the nostalgic and old school things, you know, even new stuff. You're helping them out. I want to give a shout out to High Score Saloon and High Score Player 2. They keep that kind of retro, nostalgic arcade theme alive in the community. Great people.
That's also something that we don't have anymore is arcades. I remember being in the mall, and it's definitely really cool for Player 2, and I help them any way that I can because they're an awesome place they're on the west side, so they have 2 locations. It's Player 2, and that's an all kids arcade, and you pay
$12
a
person, $40 for 4,
and you can be there all day. You can come back, you can everything, like
leave and
they
come
have
back.
Pinball, so if you want to play pinball without paying a bunch of money like you do at High Score sometimes, definitely can get really good at something. I wish the Halloween pinball machine that's currently at High Score would go over to Player 2. I would be playing it a lot. But it is cool to like the experience to like share with your kids. They have old school consoles, new school consoles.
Varieties of
Dance
games.
Revolution, if you want to have your eardrums blown out by the it's so loud.
There's a lot of rhythm games, hand rhythm games, older consoles,
and also
pinball,
the owners are all great too. I mean, Clint and Jared, the original owners, are hands down awesome guys, and a huge shout out to them.
Yes,
they are not paying us to sponsor them, but there are 2 places, Evansville Toys and Games and High Score and Player 2, that we both support, and you actually
work there. Yes,
work at one, which is really cool. I mean, can you imagine being a kid and like, I mean, back in the day, you like use coins, and like now you just pay money, and you're like, I get to be here all day.
Now I'm like,
I can play so much Galaga and Pac-Man.
Yeah, now I'm 34 and I can do this all day when I feel like it.
And they also just recently too started to sell video games,
consoles. Yeah, so if you're looking to unload some of your older games and consoles, High Score Player 2, you can check that out.
You can hit Andrew up, or you can hit up one of the other guys.
Yeah. See what kind of cash you could be sitting on.
I think it's really cool that my son is like when we get together. Number one is Andrew has to be there for him to go, but he loves to go there, and it's cool to think like 2024 and arcades are still popping again, and it's cool to see these like high score is more of a barcade, whereas player 2 is
adult
more
oriented,
like all ages.
Player
so it's
2 is
really
all
cool
ages,
to just get to be a kid, and if you have kids, you can go there, or if you just want to pay $12 to go be a kid or like as an adult and be a kid, it's way better than Chuck E. Cheese is here nowadays. So I definitely recommend checking them out. And if you go to high score, you will need some money because some things cost cash.
You pay for pinball, skee ball, Guitar Hero, claw machines.
And Guitar Hero just had a tournament.
A huge turnout for Guitar Hero battle.
Yeah,
and that's
which is crazy. It reminds you of that episode of like South Park.
Yeah.
Where they're like battling, and then like I hear.
Yeah, but everyone's like nothing happens in Evansville, but then they show out for a Guitar Hero battle.
Yeah. So if you're over the age to be able to like
go into
drink
a bar,
alcohol, then you can go to
High Score Saloon,
and I highly recommend it. And they're always expanding, so there's always new games getting exchanged. Medieval Madness is definitely my top pinball game to go there for, which Halloween might be up there. I haven't played it yet, but Medieval Madness is. I use a lot of quarters to play.
Pulp Fiction right now is on my top. That game's awesome.
And also you have Oz there. Oz is Who's at the Door. Great guy, super cool guy,
lovely man.
So if you have a chance, check them out.
Check them out. Support local.
Support local.
Any chance you can.
Even on local weekend or just anytime you want to. And just always never stop being a kid at heart. Alright, now we're going to talk about top 10 90s movies. This list is from the website movieweb.com. And this is best Christmas movies of the 1990s in chronological order. So first movie has to be Home Alone, the OG. This movie was inspired by a real family trip. The movie's writer, the Venerable John, was on his way to Europe for the first time with his family and just happened to think, what if one of the kids were left behind? And his son, he jotted it down and wrote the first draft of the movie's script in just 9 days after he got back home. Alright, and also Chris Farley was auditioned for the role of Santa but didn't make the cut. We think that Saturday Night Live legend would have been a good fit, but apparently his audition wasn't up to snuff. Which just think, what if Chris Farley was? I mean, gosh,
man.
I think the guy was still hilarious though because he's like kind of like disgruntled and like he's just got like a vibe to him where you're like, I think he's kind of upset about having to do this.
Oh yeah.
And the snow in the movie was not in the film's budget, but then a blizzard happened. The producers really couldn't afford it, but after snow covered the entire set on the second day of shooting, they had no choice but to call in the snow machines for the remainder of the film's production. So I feel like that's just cool because like it wasn't planned, but it just worked out.
It happened.
And then you just made it work.
Roll with it.
Just roll with it. That's something about the old movies is you just had to just roll with it.
Yeah.
And also, The Angels with Filthy Souls is not a real movie. The film that plays when Kevin is hiding from the pizza guy was a mock short created specifically for the scene. A similar fake sequel appears in Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. So I did think that was a real film because it looks pretty real.
It looks legit. Even
now you're like, is that a real movie? and then you like look it up and you're like, nah, that's not a real movie. I'm like,
but it's got like it has the real movie feel because it's got quotable lines. You know, just the few that you see in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, and that just goes back to him like playing it over and over, and that pizza guy standing outside and
firecrackers.
Can you imagine?
Like, being scared shitless.
Dropping
yeah. It's not worth the
man.
tip, dude.
Home Alone is definitely, gosh, it's such a great movie. Even watching it now, like all the pranks and antics that he does to those guys, and you're just like, and they're the wet bandits, and when they get caught,
sticky bandits.
He's like, you probably shouldn't have done that because now everyone knows that any house that's flooded is wet bandits. But there's so many classic things that, and too much to cover in just our
brief
episode here.
Segment.
Like there's so many great like scenes. Home Alone is definitely on my top 10 to like watch every year, but this list in particular is for in the 90s. So our next one up, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, which was released in 1992. Kevin's room service bill. Kevin's family receives a hotel bill at the end of the movie that shows Kevin spent $967.43 on room service, including chocolate, mousse, flan, and ice cream. Macaulay Culkin's salary for this movie was $4.5 million for his role in Home Alone 2, which was the largest salary ever paid to a child star at that time. I mean, Macaulay Culkin is what makes these movies. In my opinion, Home Alone 1 and 2 are the only ones.
Yeah.
All the other ones, like they're okay. There's a show now or something, I think, now.
Yeah.
But he is what made it all what it was. And there is like a picture going around that one of the guys, the pigeon lady, supposedly had this guy in this other thing, and he's denied the fact that it is him. But it's kind of funny to think, because you're like, he does look kind of like the pigeon lady.
Yeah.
But he's definitely a guy. But I was like, it could be possible. Yeah. And also, the pigeon attack scene in the movie was filmed on March 25th, 1992, and used around 500 real trained pigeons. American Humane representatives were present during both the training and the filming. 500
Could you
real
imagine
pigeons.
training 500 real pigeons to attack someone?
I can't get my kids to do things. There are only 2 of them. I can only imagine 500 pigeons.
Yeah.
And also in the movie, several cameras froze during production due to the cold temperatures. Because back then, you have to think the filming tech probably wasn't up to
standards that they are today.
Now. Yeah.
And a lot of stuff today is so CGI and computer animated and stuff that,
which is cool on some points, unless it's like Star Wars Episode 1. Duncan's Toy Chest, the largest toy store in the movie, is not real, but it was inspired by, I'm not going to try to say the name, a well-known toy store and a tourist attraction in New York City. So this movie is just so cool. It's got Trump in the movie when he was real young to... It's just a great movie, all the different scenes.
Tim Curry.
I love these movies because they just bring so much of that Christmas spirit. And you can watch them, and if you're not in the mood for Christmas after you watch it, I'm always in the mood. It's just something that just kind of, you have it play in the background. You've already watched it 100 times, but it's an awesome movie. So the next one up is The Muppets Christmas Carol, which was released in 1992. The movie was the first Muppet movie made without Jim Henson, which Jim Henson was awesome for the Muppets. The man behind the Muppets passed away on May 16, 1990 at the age of 53. The movie debuted December 11th, 1992 with Steve Whitmer taking over Kermit the Frog for Henson. The film is dedicated to Henson and his longtime collaborator Richard Hunt, who performed Scooter, Beaker, Janice, Stalter, and Sweetums, and passed away on January 7th, 1992. So the Muppets, I'm just going to say, Sesame Street was a big part of my childhood. So this is one of those movies, too, that your kids can watch. It's just a great family movie to just watch, and It's an awesome movie. So next one up, The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Great movie.
1993 is when it came out.
Yes.
Tim Burton did not direct Nightmare Before Christmas. This is a common misconception spurred by the film alternate title Tim Burton, The Nightmare Before Christmas. Burton was busy with Batman Returns and handed this hefty responsibility to his old Disney animation colleague Henry Selick, who made his feature directorial debut with the film. Burton's name goes above the title for serving as producer, creating the story, and coming up with the look and the characters for The Nightmare Before Christmas. It probably didn't help that his name was much bigger than Selick's at the time, thanks to his success on Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Beetlejuice, and Batman. So Tim Burton's name obviously now is like a big name. And at the time,
very big.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really watch Nightmare Before Christmas a lot. Like, I know there's a lot of fan base. I have like watched it, but I wouldn't say I've watched it as much as like Home Alone.
Like regularly, like
but
for holidays and stuff
looking
like that.
back on Clay Animation, what a movie to do. Like, I mean, talk about a lot of work like that. Props to everyone who made the movie. And it's just one of those movies that, I mean, they're still making stuff for this movie even now, like just decorations every Christmas.
Like Hot Topic has a bunch of Nightmare Before Christmas stuff out.
It's
every
weird because
year.
It melds Christmas with Halloween.
Well, and
that's kind of neat to like kind of like merge the two together.
Well, it's interesting because, like it says, the plot was inspired by the reoccurring collision of holiday store decorations. Stores decorate for holidays months before, so it's like you have to be on this time schedule of, okay, this month's Christmas, so they're already when Christmas is over or up till Christmas, they're going to start putting out Valentine's Day stuff. They're going to start, and like you just have all these holiday clashes.
Valentine's Day, they start setting up like the second Christmas is done.
Yeah. Like,
and it's in like February.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is an awesome movie. Obviously, it's on the list in the 90s. So next up, The Nutcracker, which released in 1993. I am not going to lie, I have never seen this. Have you ever?
No. I think I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I'm not much of a musical person. I think this was more of like a musical, if I'm not mistaken.
Culkin was in the cast as the Nutcracker Prince because of his fame and his experience dancing as Fritz for the School of American Ballet in 1989 and 1990. So that's a cool little fact, like to think, like at the time.
And Macaulay Culkin was a dancer doing ballet.
A dancer.
Yeah.
You make it sound like he was one of those dancers on the street with
exotic
exotic dancer.
Child exotic dancer.
Now, the story of the Nutcracker is, like you said, it's a ballet that tells the story of a girl who befriends a nutcracker that comes to life on Christmas Eve. The ballet was commissioned in 1891 and premiered in 1892. It became a holiday staple in the United States by the 1960s. So it's on the list. I guess we'll have to watch it sometime.
Watch it if you want to.
Yeah, or if you like it.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
If you love it, don't judge us for not.
Next up is my favorite Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Santa Claus with Tim Allen, which released in 1992. I don't know if there's anybody that's more influential as Tim Allen was me because of Home Improvement.
Yeah.
He was just that cool dad. Like, he was almost reminded me of my dad. Like, he would work on cars, and then the side of my dad wasn't like is when he would try to fix things on the show. But then he came out in the Santa Claus, which is definitely a movie that I watch every year. And Tom Hanks and Tom Selleck were considered to play Scott Calvin and Santa Claus, but I'm really glad it was
Tim Allen. Yeah. It would have been a different movie with Tom Hanks or Tom
So a
Selleck.
little darker twist to this movie is the demise of the original script for the movie. The first draft of the film that would become the Santa Claus was built on the hook. What would happen if a person killed Santa and took his job? That's a dark premise, and it turns out that before Jeffrey and the Walt Disney Company got their hands on the script, the story was even darker. In the final film, Santa dies because he slips and falls off Scott Calvin's roof after Scott startles him. But in earlier drafts, he falls off the roof not because he was startled, but because Scott shot him with a shotgun.
Could you imagine?
Oh my gosh, can you imagine watching this as a kid and you're like, oh my god.
Watch Santa Claus get blown off a roof with a shotgun.
I'm sorry, that is just crazy. Like, Disney would not allow that. That's
no way. But I mean, today, that could definitely be a thing today.
I don't know. And there's some things nowadays that couldn't be a thing. I don't know. There's some things they got away with in the early 90s. So they might have actually got away with it then it might have been changed. So the movie was filmed in the spring, which made it hard to have snow in the movie. So, though it takes largely in December in the Midwest, the film was shot in late spring, early summer of 1994 in Toronto, which at the time was enjoying warm weather. And here comes a Christmas movie to film that meant the crew had to work hard extensively in exterior shots to make the film look wintry. So isn't it crazy to think all the stuff they used to do to like create snow?
Just to give the appeal of the timing.
Yeah.
We were actually kind of talking about this earlier. I saw I watched a video the other night that if you pay attention in the movie Santa Claus, you can actually see elves hidden throughout the movie. Like there's one in his son's school. There's one that they follow him around before he becomes Santa Claus. So it's a theory that Santa Claus didn't fall and die. He just faked his death into retirement. You never see a Mrs. Claus. You would think whenever he goes to the North Pole that there'd be a distraught Mrs. Claus because her husband died, but you can clearly see elves in the background kind of leading him toward this path of becoming Santa Claus. That's why they're all cheerful and they're not upset when the other Santa just had his time. He's trying to chill on a beach or something. You know what I mean?
Chill on a beach. Or
that
ornament where like Santa's on a float.
Chilling in the ocean, or he's tired of the North Pole. But I think that's an interesting theory that all that stuff was in place to coax Scott into becoming the new Santa Claus. To me, it's mildly entertaining to think of.
I think this one's interesting where, like, when he had to wear, like, the fat suit, which often made him had to wear for long shooting days in non-air-conditioned warehouse in the middle of Toronto heat wave. Can you imagine wearing all this, like, makeup? Like, I think I give props to anyone that's, like, an actor, because, like, you're like, gosh, you gotta wear, like...
30 pounds of shit.
On here it says... The piece weighed nearly 50 pounds and was far from comfortable. Can you imagine wearing 50 extra pounds and just walking around
all day long?
Like in the movie, it's that scene. Remember where he like keeps trying to shave his hair because he keeps growing the beard out, and he comes to an office meeting and the guy's like, "What happened to you? You're like wearing sweatpants and like usually wearing a
belly
suit.
hanging out.
You got a belly hanging out, and." You got all this like beard. I mean, this is a movie that from like the music, it don't matter if it looks old, it still
holds up to this day.
It definitely holds up, and I do think. Let's see, there's 3 of them movies, and then there's a show. I do like the show, but I think it's one of those things. The OG, the first one always hits home.
Started it,
and it's got that music, and when he's on the bed and he's hitting the reins and he's like Prancer, and like it's just like as a kid you're like, man, that's just like every kid, you just always wanted to
be Santa Claus.
Even though I wouldn't want to wear a 50-pound suit to be
I just got fat. That's alright,
so the next one on the list is Miracle on 34th Street, 1994. So I haven't seen this one. I think the girl that plays in it is the girl that plays Matilda. I can't remember her name. So I've never really watched this one. Miracle on 34th Street is a holiday classic about a department store Santa who claims to be the real Kris Kringle. The 1947 version is considered by many to be the classic, but there have been several remakes. So this is obviously
just another adaptation
of it, yeah.
of the 1947 version.
I mean, it sounds like an awesome movie. I think the original one, the black and white one, I feel like my grandma had playing in the background. I think I remember seeing it. It's kind of like Christmas Story or other movies, like you just have that background. You're not actually like watching it. So it seems interesting. I would say this is more interesting than probably the musical one I got earlier.
Yeah.
Our next one up,
Jingle All the Way.
Yes. So this one, Andrew's got something to show us.
I watch this movie every year.
This movie has that classic line, "Put the cookie down."
Yeah, put the cookie down now. Yeah.
Classic Arnold.
Overworked dad trying to provide for his kid, never there. Me and my brother watch this movie all the time, and I actually found a Turbo Man toy, remade by Funko. I got it for my brother. I don't care if he likes it or not. If he doesn't want it, I'll take it. Piss on him.
It's like, I'll open it.
I will take this. Yes. But we watch this movie all the time as kids, and it still holds a heavy place in my heart. I mean, it's a great movie. Theatrics, everything. Arnold Schwarzenegger, big in the 90s anyway.
Oh, man. Talking about that could be a whole different conversation.
Right there.
All the movies. I mean, and he's got that accent. I think that would just makes this movie even awesomer. It came out in 1996. 96. Arnold Schwarzenegger was able to play this lead because of a delay on a Planet of the Apes remake, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
So everything just kind of worked out to where he was able to be in the movie. Turbo Man figures were sold at Walmart's, the original ones. 200,000 were originally produced and sold at Walmart shops for $25, which now the OG original ones go for. I think we looked at it. What was it?
200 plus dollars.
Crazy, which is insane. Which I would actually almost buy if I was. Into it.
But it's interesting. Funko bought the original mold for the Turbo Man figures
to remake them exactly.
Yeah, to remake them exactly how they were in the 90s.
They would have made more, but as Fox president of licensing and merchandising explained to Entertainment Weekly, there were only 6.5 months to produce and promote Turbo Man toys, and it usually takes well over a year. Yeah. So it is really cool. I mean, 200,000, that's a lot of money. I mean, I guess back then there wasn't as many people, but
but for quick production like that, it's pretty cool.
So this movie's cool. I mean, it's like you said, just like the comedy part where like that guy who's the mailman dad keeps showing up, and you're just like, and it ends up being one of those movies where it ends that one person wins, but he does the right thing, and that's kind of in the Christmas essence, is to do the right thing.
Family movie.
I don't know if I'd give him up to the original one though, but if it was now, I'm just kidding. No, I would. I would give it to him. But
if you've never seen it, I'd give it a shot. You also get to see Arnold Schwarzenegger knock out a reindeer, and it's perfect.
And there's that guy who's the neighbor. Remember, who's like trying to pick up his wife? You're
creepy,
like this dude is really creepy.
Trying to bang his wife. Yeah, real life shit in this movie.
There's some real stuff. If you're gonna hit a reindeer, how?
If you're gonna knock a reindeer out and then get it drunk later on. Sorry, buddy, but you brought it on yourself.
So I think this is an awesome movie. It's cool to be on the list. So our next one up is Jack Frost, 1998.
Not the horror movie Jack Frost. That
No,
was a good one too.
1997, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And this one's got who in it?
It's
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton was cast in the lead role after George Clooney left to film Batman and Robin. The snowman animatronics were was originally designed for Clooney's features and acting style, but was redesigned for Michael Keaton. The movie was filmed in the winter during a drought year, so as usual, there's no snow.
Yeah.
So foam and cotton swabs were used as snow substitutes.
Which is awesome.
I can say that's better than the fact I just recently heard about Wizard of Oz using asbestos.
Oh yeah, wow.
Which isn't crazy. Like, so this one's way better. I'd rather breathe in foam and cotton swabs than
cancer.
asbestos.
Yeah.
Like,
Than death.
so this movie I do remember because it was that one that like they're trying to save like the snowman, and there's like the guy with like the snowplow or something like that. Like I haven't seen it in a while. I do remember watching it as a kid on TV. I know that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like live or on I don't know if they had the VHS of it. But
Probably taped it.
taped it.
Yeah,
That's
recorded it off.
over like your dad's
football game or
like something random. But
their first dance at their wedding. I'm a kid. I don't care. I want to record this movie.
yeah, because it only came on at a certain time, and then it
Yeah.
wasn't always right, so it'd be
Yeah.
wrong. But this is an awesome movie too. It's cool. I haven't watched it in a while, but all right. So last up is Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas, released in 1999, the last year of the 90s.
Yeah.
This movie is three tales of Christmas past about Donald's nephew reliving the day on repeat, Max Goof's belief in Santa being challenged, and Mickey and Minnie's in making ends meet. The film won the award of Best Animated Feature Film at the 5th Animation Film Festival in 1999. A sequel titled Once Upon
Mickey's Twice Upon
a Christmas was released in 2004. So this is one that's awesome for kids to watch. It's a great movie. I'm a Mickey Mouse fan as a kid, even now. Like Mickey Mouse was like right up there for Disney. I mean, like
just iconic.
yeah. I mean, talk about a great idea. But
Yeah.
and then he made a Christmas movie, and like it entitled like kind of like Christmas, like doing the right thing, helping out others, you know, like all the basics.
And
So,
also struggles that many people face during holiday seasons. Bills, groceries, you know, like it says, making ends meet.
things you don't think about as a kid.
Yeah, real life stuff.
Real life,
You
real,
know, real animated life stuff.
This was really animated,
Yeah.
actually. So this wasn't
Yeah.
CGI.
Yeah, so but I mean it's cool they incorporate real life struggles and shit into stuff back in the day. I mean, we still do to this day, but now the struggles are like, my iPhone dies in 15 minutes because I've always had it connected to a charger. Not, man, am I going to have enough food for the family?
Yeah,
or
like,
can
also-
I buy my kids gifts? Or
But also taught kids to not want to have a whole lot of extra. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a movie that's just real, like, low key. You can just watch if you haven't watched it and you have kids, or you just want to watch it alone. I mean, it's an awesome movie to watch.
it reminds you to be grateful for stuff you do and don't have. Stuff people don't
Gratitude
have.
goes a long way.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's even like as an adult to now. I mean, I am thankful for everything that I have.
Yeah.
All right, so next up is 10 of the most iconic 90s Christmas commercials, because commercials are key in the
Oh man.
90s, because you can't watch Netflix and skip ads and all this stuff that they do now. This list is brought to you by Nostal Chicks. So this is 10 of the most iconic 90s Christmas commercials. So first up is Coca-Cola Polar Bears, 1993. So we're gonna watch it. Something about these is just like
The animation.
So my son, when he saw this, he was like, "That looks so bad, the graphics." I'm like, "It's 1993."
Yeah. What do you expect? See, and
I'll tell you what, I don't drink Coke anymore, but when I was a kid, I drank cherry Coke, and that was just one that, like, Coca-Cola, man, talk about a brand that has carried us. It doesn't have Coke in it anymore, but...
Yeah, no more cocaine.
Thankfully, but Coca-Cola, man, as a kid, just it's that taste. I don't know.
Refreshing.
I'm not a Pepsi guy, so I'm a Coke guy. Like, I don't drink soda anymore, but as a kid, I drank vanilla Coke, cherry Coke, regular Coke, just something about
vanilla Coke and
on
cherry
a hot
Coke
day
were
or on a cold day.
perfect.
But so number two up is Eminem's "Faint," 1996.
Iconic commercial.
This is one that's still played now.
Today, yeah.
So you think Santa will like these red and green M&Ms?
I don't know. I never met the guy.
Do exist. Santa?
Santa?
You okay, bud?
So
I'm pretty sure that's J.K. Simmons that does the voice of the yellow M&M.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Huh.
the very own J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah. I just like to think, like, he was probably pretty, like,
pretty
young
young,
back then.
probably. Yeah,
but M&M's, I love M&M's.
yeah. Peanut M&Ms, probably the greatest.
So my wife doesn't like peanuts. I like peanut M&Ms though.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
M&Ms are definitely on the list if you have them around the holiday time. I think we used to have an M&M dispenser, and you would,
yeah, put a quarter in, and
no, it was just free.
oh.
So there was no quarter. Thankfully, I wouldn't.
Well, then my dad was a cheapskate and charged us for M&Ms.
I do think it's weird, like, now to see what you're talking about. There's like stores that have that, and I'm like,
yeah. Who uses those?
I don't have a quarter.
When was the last time this candy was changed? Like, if you're going to grocery stores or something that don't, if you're getting stickers or fake tattoos, sticky hands, cool. That shit's cool. But candy now,
I need that stuff to be changed.
yeah, you need to ask questions.
Like, did they wash their hands? Like,
Yeah.
Like, as a kid, you're like, I don't care. I just
Yeah, I'm a
candy.
kid. I'll eat gum off of the floor because I'm that big of an idiot. But and now as an adult, I'm like, when was the last time this candy was changed? Is this gonna make me piss blood or something?
Man, just as a kid, you didn't really think about a lot of things,
Nah,
like,
we were so adventurous and
Adventurous.
carefree and like.
Sometimes that might have been a bad thing.
And as
And we're lucky that something happened to us. Sometimes.
yeah, now as an adult, I'm like, if I eat candy out of that machine, I'm gonna have diarrhea for 3 days because that's old.
All right, so next up, number 3 is Toys R Us. You'll Never Outgrow Us, 1990.
This is crazy.
Just hearing the music, or like the way they like the music and the way they talk. You'll never outgrow.
Yeah, Toys R Us was huge.
Toys R Us, hands down, definitely part of the 90s. We hold it clutch right there. That's one of ours. Like, I'm really sad to see them like go, and they kind of came back a little bit, but I just don't have the same vibe. But as a kid, seeing Toys R Us like in the catalogs to like around Christmas time was just
going into the store, and it's just,
and you're just looking at stuff. You're not even, and like another thing with the commercials is it draws you to want to go whatever it was they're advertising. Like, that's how they would pull you in.
Yeah.
Like, now they pull you in with like billboards and like ads on your phone, but
sexy girls being like, "Ooh, you need this."
well, hopefully Toys R Us doesn't have sexy girls.
Well,
they might have.
maybe if they had the Pink Ranger back in the day on there, yeah, I was all in on it. But yeah, I mean, advertising for kids back in the day was so simple, like. I'm sure parents thought it was a pain because they're like, I got to pick up all this shit now. My kids got all this stuff thrown around, but.
But Toys R Us though is like that one. I'm glad that's on there for the ads because that has to be on there, and that like you'll never outgrow us. Like, it's like you'll never outgrow being a kid. Like, here I am. I mean, look at this back here.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna stop being a kid. Like, I'm 34 years old and I'm still a kid at heart. So I think it's something key as an adult is to just hang on to that. Like, enjoy your life, man. Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
And that's what Toys R Us just taught us, is about having fun and all the like different colors and just like there is a
Varieties.
there is a set being remade for a movie, I think for Michael Jackson, that is the original Toys R Us. Because that outside you see it and you're just like, man, that is.
Oh, it takes you right back.
Like I would love to go inside that set just to be like, oh man, like, and they have the inside with all the toys on the aisles and stuff. It's like Toys R Us is for sure key. So next up on the list is Campbell's Snowman 1993. Now this one I remember seeing all the time.
Absolutely.
But we're gonna watch it again, even though I've already seen this.
Who's gonna mop that floor? You know.
That's not what I was thinking about as a kid.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that chicken soup looks pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Man,
I like
Campbell's. Like Campbell's was the soup.
Still
Back
is.
in,
Still is a
We
great
didn't
soup.
think about all the sodium and all the bad stuff.
Oh yeah. No.
Tons of stuff we did have sodium in it. Like there's many things we can think of that have, but Campbell's, man, just that right there just makes you just feel good and like the Christmas spirit with the snowman. You get all warmed up and
Yeah.
I could think about being a kid and like getting hot cocoa or
Oh yeah.
whatever it is. You come inside after playing in the snow or just being outside. So
Yeah.
number 5 up is Pepsi Christmas Jingle Bells 1993. Glass bottles. Do, 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 do.
Wonder if that's actual Pepsi in there because it's not fizzing up at all.
It's,
You
just,
know.
it's just water.
Yeah. It's soy sauce.
Soy sauce. It could be.
Um,
I like how they advertise the glass bottles, but then they show you advertising for
Cans.
cans.
Yeah.
And it was for burgers. I mean,
Excuse me.
like back in the 90s, like.
Oh, this one.
So, Pepsi's not on my list, but I do. Pepsi's okay. Like, it's just not my favorite.
Wild cherry Pepsi.
You can hunt us in the comments on that, but I
Yeah.
think it's. Like, it's okay. Yeah, like.
Yeah.
And it's
If you
not-
like original Pepsi, who hurt you?
If you like.
It's
If you like Pepsi, hey. I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to say it's not my favorite.
I'm here to judge you.
So, number 6 up is Budweiser Clydesdale's Christmas Lights, 1999.
Clydesdales were huge. They're still pretty big for Budweiser.
Oh yeah, I mean advertising. Like I had a friend's dad who was into Budweiser stuff.
Oh yeah. Mallory, my girlfriend's stepdad collects the beer steins, and that's.
Oh yeah,
pretty,
he also had those too. Yeah, those are pretty.
those are pretty cool. Some of the most massive horses in existence.
Yeah, Clydesdales. I mean those. Definitely some horses.
I got the chance to see them in person in St. Louis. They were actually, we were doing like, you can go there and do a tour of Budweiser's facility and you get a free beer at the end of your tour. But
Well, if you're over age.
if you're over 21,
Yeah,
yeah,
but not as
good
a
luck
kid.
kids.
Not as a
Get a
kid.
trench coat and stand on each other's shoulders. But
Not giving any ideas.
yeah, but when we went, we actually went there we went to St. Louis for a concert, but I love getting to I love St. Louis. I get there early, but we walked around, we did the Budweiser tour, but they were loading the Clydesdales up to go shoot a commercial.
Those are cool to see. They're huge. Like I've seen them in person.
Yeah. So when we went through the stables, they were like, they're not in the stables. They're actually about to come down this road and load them into the horse trailers. They're about to be loaded up and taken away. And we stood outside. It was wintertime. Around wintertime, it's cold. A little icy on the sidewalks. I remember that because I'm a grown kid. I was playing on the ice. But
I'm a 34-year-old man acting like a 12-year-old kid.
I'm like, whatever. You know,
I'm just doing a little drinking when I
I'm old enough to drink now, but I can still slide around on an icy sidewalk. But when they brought those Clydesdales out, it was like almost overwhelming because they were so.
There's so many of them.
You see them on a commercial, and don't get me wrong, seeing them on TV, you're like, well, those are some big ass horses. When you see them in person, you're like, oh, these are some massive horses that
Imagine being a kid though, and you see him in club. I remember seeing him. I think I was in like middle school, and I was like, those things are so big.
They're just huge.
Like, how would I get on that thing?
Yeah,
That thing
a
is
fire
huge.
truck. You know, like you'd have to have a
Get
fire truck ladder to get on
You
one.
get a ladder or like one of those
Yeah.
little cherry pickers that get on it.
Yeah, jump from a roof or something. You gotta time your landing right. But they're massive horses, very iconic for wintertime.
Oh yeah, and Budweiser itself, I mean, that's like their whole brain is the Clydesdales. I
Yeah.
mean, everybody knows them, and they know someone's dad or dad's dad or whoever
Yeah,
friend that
Yeah.
has, like what you said, the
Steins,
yeah.
the beer steins and
Yeah.
stuff like that. There's
my friend that's had like a collection. I think he had like 10 of them or something, and they were giant cups. that
Yeah.
I'm like, I could drink a lot of chocolate milk out of those
yeah,
as a kid. Like,
As a
like,
kid,
like
yeah.
as a kid, you're thinking about.
yeah. Drink responsibly.
I could have some Budweiser.
Yeah.
So next up on number 7 is Duracell, A Christmas Morning, 1992.
Rudolph.
Oh man. Do. Like, yeah. So when I think of Duracell batteries, I think of the bunny.
Well, that's Energizer.
Yeah. But, or yeah.
Yeah, the Energizer.
That is
bunny.
Energizer, but thinking of batteries.
Do you think of,
yeah.
you always go to the bunny? Yeah.
So, Duracell, obviously, I use it in our household. Like,
Yeah.
batteries are still a thing.
Yeah.
Everything's not chargeable yet.
Yeah.
I would say, you got to have plenty of batteries for Christmas. I know as being a dad that when they get toys and it's like, it's going to only take like 10 big giant batteries to
Yeah.
power this thing. I'm like, how many batteries does this thing take?
Yeah.
And then you got to go buy them, and that's the hassle as a parent. You got to be stocked up on your battery game.
You gotta have AAA, AA, D's.
C.
You gotta have the C batteries. And it's
So
like,
many batteries.
yeah, you almost need like they almost need to market it to sell like a big
you
ass briefcase of every
Remember
battery.
the time when they had the batteries where you would hold your
Yeah,
hand
try
over
to
it,
try to
and it would try to
see
show you
how much batteries in
it
there.
wouldn't work half the time. I was like, what a silly idea.
The only thing it did was made your thumbs hurt, and you never knew how much life
Yeah,
was
like,
in
it
your
ain't
battery.
like a food ring or something
Yeah,
like that. It
no.
was like one of those things where like I was like, but then you put it in, it's dead, and you're like, that lied to me.
Yeah, I think it
It's
was
dead.
more of a watch what we can get these stupid kids to do. Like, this thing doesn't even work. Let's
It's
see
like entertainment. Our entertainment
Yeah.
was seeing how charged your battery is.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, number 8 up is Gap, Everybody in a Vest, 1999. I don't remember this ad, but before we watched this, I definitely remember I was a kid that wore these vests. Definitely. I know it was a bad thing, and this ad right here will take you back to it just says.
The cargo vest, man.
Everybody in vests.
Yeah.
So I was one to have like the fleece vest. Definitely. So I can't say anything. It's not something I wear now. I do think it's good to wear a vest when I see people now.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
thinking, I was one of those people one time that I wore those vests. And that one you said with the cargo, how many pockets do you need on your vest?
Yeah,
Are you
right.
like going on a safari?
Yeah, or
But
what are you doing, guys?
I do remember Gap as a store. I think, isn't Gap still a store?
It's still a store, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's one of those stores that you're like, is this still a store?
I just never understood vests because I'm like, okay, are you cold or like you're just wearing a vest, and now you got people that get heated vests and shit,
Like,
and it's like I'm kind of chilly. I'm gonna push this button to heat me up. Put sleeves on that. That's that you're
Like a
wearing
Velcro sleeve or
buddy,
something.
you're wearing a vest where all that air's coming through your sleeves. Wear a jacket, but hey, your taste is your taste. If you like,
and there's guys that wear vests now.
if you like rocking a vest, I think you're a doofus, but go for it.
You're a dude.
Yeah,
You're. It's like the sign that you're a dad.
yeah.
Like anymore.
Sketcher shoes.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Nike 574 shoes, those giant.
Yeah.
What
It's
they're
just,
called.
I've never seen the appeal of vests at all, but
So number 9 is McDonald's gift certificate 1991.
yes.
This holiday season, McDonald's has a little something for someone special. McDonald's gift certificate. A book of 5 for $5 with 50 cents from each group going to Ronald McDonald Children's Charities to help children in need all across Canada. With McDonald's gift certificates, you can help a charity that helps children.
Man, McDonald's. So McDonald's alone definitely has to be on the list of commercials because I know as a kid, Happy Meals.
Yep.
And I'm buying them now for my kids, and they are a lot more expensive.
Oh yeah.
But the toys for Happy Meals and like the gift receipts to like the Monopoly, where you could like earn
Monopoly is
things.
huge. Yeah.
I think they took that away, didn't they? Because that
No.
guy there was a guy that cheated it or something.
Yeah.
But McDonald's, Ronald McDonald, all that stuff, like we didn't, like you said, like we were so adventurous. We were like, hey, this guy who dressed like a clown, he's my friend.
Yeah.
And then
Wants me to eat his fries.
there's the guy, the burglar, and
Yeah. Grimace.
Grimace, which that's a thing, the Grimace shake, but
Yeah,
it's a whole
that
nother
was-
conversation. But
Yeah,
McDonald's is still around. Like
Yeah.
I don't eat McDonald's, but as a kid, definitely McDonald's.
Definitely did. It was an easy, fast, affordable go-to. Not so much anymore, but
But back in the day, it was definitely a go-to. If you were a parent, you got some kids you got to feed for cheap,
smashing cheeseburgers.
and they get a toy, and the toy is only going to be fun for a little while, but it'll
Yeah.
last a lifetime to remember it.
Yeah. I sold a lot of gift cards whenever I worked at McDonald's.
Really?
We still did those, yeah, and that's pretty cool. Kick back to Ronald McDonald House, being here in Evansville, working there as a manager. We got to go cook once or twice a year for Ronald McDonald House. Like we'd cook for the patients there. That was always something that was really cool. I love to cook, but I love to provide for families and less
Yeah,
fortunate people. It's an eye-opening experience. You don't understand what families are going through there in those times. Their kids are getting treatment. They're away from home. To come together in a community and do stuff like that is really cool. And the fact that those gift certificates kick back to Ronald
Helping
McDonald
them out.
House, yeah, it's really a cool thing.
I've never been there, but I know where it's at, and it is a cool like cause, and they always ask you if you want to
Donate.
round up and help,
Yeah.
Yeah. So my wife likes their Coke. So.
Yeah, their Dr. Pepper, some of the best.
They got their own Coke. So she supports McDonald's.
Yeah.
But on number 10 is Hershey Kisses Bells. And this one right here, 1989, but continued into the 1990s.
Which is
I
actually
remember-
continued into now. They're still playing this commercial. If you guys watch actual TV and not just streaming services, this commercial still pops up.
It's a
God, I
great...
feel so old saying that. Like, oh, I watch regular TV sometimes. It still plays, and it's still amazing. Yeah. And my favorite part is, whoosh. Yeah, you nailed it, buddy. You got it.
So
You killed it.
that is the class commercial, and it's like you said, it's crazy to think some of these things are still being aired, but it's such a great commercial. It's so simple.
Yeah.
It's holidays. Everyone loves Hershey Kisses.
Yeah.
I mean, I do.
They go on
I ate a
many
bunch of them.
Christmas cookies.
Yeah.
Like you can make so many snacks with Hershey Kisses.
Hershey's chocolate, man, just a different different things. So that's all the top 10. So now, thank you for watching this or listening or however you're going to find this. And also be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy this. It is greatly appreciated. This is the first episode. So if you have topics you want us to talk about, be sure to message us however you want.
Drop them in a comment.
And if this airs before Christmas or after, but Merry Christmas to everyone out there. And until next time,
Peace out. Be good to each other.